Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another month of colorful cooking at home. I am really excited to have guest Dr. Stephen Corso here in the kitchen tonight. He's a medical oncologist, and he will tell you a lot more about that. But part of the reason he's here and cooking together is because we know what a big impact nutrition has on preventing cancer to begin with, assisting during chemotherapy and radiation cancer treatment, and then afterwards, especially in survivorship and making sure that it doesn't come back again. So we have a cancer prevention and assistance loaded meal for you tonight that we are going to prepare together. The first thing we're going to do is, of course, wash our hands. So we'll get started with that. And while Dr. Corso is washing his hands, I'll tell you, we are preparing a walnut taco meat, which I know might sound pretty wild to some of you that haven't tasted it before. And I'll just go ahead and be honest, mushrooms are not my favorite food. And grinding them up in this manner is one of the ways that I've found to truly enjoy them. So a lot of times I feel like with these plant foods that we know are so good for us, it's not that we don't like them. We just have to find the way that we do enjoy them. Have you ever eaten anything like this?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, great. So that didn't scare him away. I'm going to go ahead and turn on our pan to start preheating. And while I wash my hands, why don't you tell them a little bit more about what you do?
Oh, okay. So for those of you who are not aware of Gibbs, I've been here affiliated with Gibbs since its inception and actually got here a handful of years before. So I've been in the upstate in Spartanburg since 97. Came here with my wife and three boys. They have all grown and gone off to other parts to live their lives. Stayed up here and have been taking care of cancer patients for years. Predominantly breast cancer is sort of my niche. I do probably 75% breast cancer care and spattering of other stuff. So
Yeah.
that's really what my job entails is taking care of breast cancer patients.
Yeah, great. Well, you might know the way some of these foods interact more with the breast cancer cells more than I do. But one of the first things we're going to do is, or what you didn't see me do, is I soaked these walnuts. And I do think that's an important part of this recipe. There are many ways you can do this. You can absolutely try to do this recipe without soaking the walnuts first, but I do think it softens them enough and it creates a bit more of the meat-like texture. That's what we're going for. So we're going to combine walnuts and we're going to combine mushrooms in the food processor. And I forgot, before we do that, we're actually going to pulse our garlic and our onion. And so we'll probably do about a quarter of the onion. Um, would you like to start by cutting up our onion?
Sure.
And I can talk about our onion and our garlic a little bit. So then
This is
we
going to wind up in the food
Yep,
processor.
exactly. So the you are more than welcome to cut all of this by hand, but we're already dirtying up our food processor by using it with the walnuts and the mushrooms. So I figure you might as well go ahead and save yourself a little bit of time and effort. I know that cooking at home can seem overwhelming, and sometimes when you're not feeling the best or you're a caregiver and you're spending a lot of energy in other ways, these little tricks and devices that we can use in the kitchen can really make a big difference. So we have this big old food processor, so we're going to put it to work. So then if you want to peel these garlic cloves after that, and we'll just throw those in there. I've got our pan preheating to about medium heat. So we're going to saute our onions and our garlic first. And I just remembered this is kind of a silly pan. So I usually put more than one burner on because it's so big. I'm going to do this. All right.
I find that in the kitchen while you're preparing a meal, having a glass of wine makes the preparation go much smoother and
It
easier and
does.
funner too.
It does. Cooking with someone else is way more fun. So this is going to be a much more enjoyable dinner than I might normally have, as well as music. So what you didn't hear me turn off right before you walked in the door was music.
Oh,
So
I can turn mine on.
that's true. We could do that. Great. All right. If you want to throw those in there, and we'll start to peel our garlic. So we're probably going to use a whole head
Good.
of. Do you have a special way you peel garlic? Because sometimes I like to show people that, so I might go zoom
You
in.
can show me. My wife is
Okay.
actually the kitchen gadget queen.
Okay.
Has about every gadget that's imaginable, and she's got one. It's a little round plastic roll. Put it in there.
Okay.
It rubs the skin right off.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about. There are so many different ways, but I usually just take the
Smash.
palm of my hand and yeah, I know some people go all the way back up here and that makes me so nervous. They're like, no, we just got to use our body weight to roll into it and peel it and comes usually right off. I don't think I actually smashed it hard enough. So let me do that. Well, there it goes. Garlic is definitely sticky. So while I recommend everyone learn how to hand mince it, it does save you a little bit of effort. I have a small pull string food processor that helps to really mince it up well. So we'll just show you that here for a second. If anyone has any questions throughout our event, please go ahead and throw them into the Q&A and we will address those.
Do you have any, Carrie, preferences or comments regarding different type of garlics you buy in terms of what may be more full of, again, things that are good for us versus,
Yeah,
because you see quite a few different types of garlic when you go to the grocery store,
right.
Costco or wherever.
Yeah. So I would say if you can do fresh, fresh is great. However, especially in terms of blood pressure lowering effects, they found that even just a fourth of a teaspoon of garlic powder, which is just dehydrated garlic ground up into a powder, a day can have a decent impact on someone's blood pressure, their artery function, etc. So I think that's the good thing about garlic. And one of the other things is that it has a lot of diallyl disulfide in it. So you'll hear me talk a lot tonight about.
Can you say that 3 times fast?
I can't. I don't even think I remember it already. Diallyl disulfide. Yeah. So you'll hear me talk a lot about phytonutrients. Phyto means plant. So we only find these compounds in plant foods. And our meal is about to be loaded with 17 different types of plant foods. And so the part of the reason it's not necessarily that we want you to remember all of these names and all of these terms. It's more about what they're doing overall and the benefit that we're getting from them. So especially in terms of skin, colon, lung, and stomach cancers, the garlic has been shown to be very helpful, but also in liver function. So it's a naturally that and this yellow onion, these white foods are very detoxifying. So they can help our liver do its job to detoxify. They're not detoxifying themselves. They're helping our liver do that job by providing it the nutrients it needs. So none of these are exclusive to being these superfoods by themselves. We're combining them, we're eating them daily over the course of the week, etc. And that's really where the benefit comes in. So I always do this wrong, so I'm going to do this.
Go for it.
And we're going to, there, okay, good. We're just going to mince this up. All right, there we go. And if you want to, go ahead, pour this into our pan. Oh, it already smells so good. Actually, you know what? It always gets stuck on me. So let's see. I think I have to keep the lid on. This is what happens when you don't bring your own kitchen gadgets. We might just have to scoop it out and put in the.
Try one more pulse.
Okay, so it does work.
Nope.
Maybe it is the safety feature to untwist it from the top. There we go. Let's see. There we go.
Yay.
I was probably just going the wrong way. All right. So if you want to pour that in there.
Do we put any oil or butter or anything here first? Or?
You know what? We're not going to use any oil. That's a nonstick pan.
Okay.
And you could use a little bit of oil if you really wanted to, but really that's the purpose of the oil in this case is to prevent it from sticking. So we have a little bit of water here. And as we start to see the onion start to
What do you have
maybe
the heat
stick
on
to
here?
the
Is this a
pan.
low or medium heat?
It's medium.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're just going to brown those onions and or cook them until they're translucent there. And then we are going to pulse our walnuts and our mushrooms separately. And this is something, again, there's a lot of different recipes out there. You are more than welcome to try. I am always that cut corners when cooking kind of person. So I've tried multiple times to do the walnuts and the mushrooms at the same time, but they're just different textures. And the reality is you can't. So we will pulse the walnuts first, and then, my goodness, and then
So you can get it back on.
there we go. Boop. Okay, do my workout for the day. All right. So, Dr. Corso, do you like to cook or you
No, I
cook
actually,
because
I have to cook. No, my wife's a wonderful cook, but as our kids grew up and left the house, we decided we would start having meals that were enjoyable and not just feeding the locusts when they stormed through the house
Yeah.
meal time. So we really started to get recipes and start making meals fresh from scratch. And
Yeah.
that's sort of when I really started to get into it. And in the summertime, when on vacation, I will do a lot of the cooking at home.
Amazing.
We love outdoor grills.
Yeah.
So it
Nice.
just provides an opportunity to enjoy home cooked meals rather than going out.
Yeah. And so you've been talking about home cooked meals. What are the benefits of cooking at home, would you say?
Well, one is, healthier.
Yeah,
You control your portions rather than restaurant giving you enough food to feed three people.
that's very true.
Which way did it go? Left? Go to boy, we got to figure this one out.
I know. And I just did it. I should have paid better attention. Let's see. There we go.
It's going
All right.
clockwise.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to have him add these or actually, I'm going to show everyone the consistency of these mushrooms. So you can see they're not too finely pulsed. They're, I would say, chopped, minced. They're pretty small in that way. But yeah, agreed. So you cook because you like knowing what's in your food and where it came from, perhaps?
Far healthier. We get to choose fresh vegetables that are always better than what you might get in certain locations, and we get to mix it up. Two is you prepare a good sized meal and it gives you leftovers for several more nights
Yeah.
that you
Yes.
get to benefit from. But we enjoy the cooking process and we enjoy the eating of it as well. So
Yeah. All right, I'm going to zoom in here. So there you can see the mushrooms. And so again, I just took 8 ounces of white button mushrooms. And the interesting thing about that is that we've discovered that white button mushrooms have more of the aromatase inhibiting effects than any other type of mushroom. That's one of the cheapest mushrooms that you can find, and it's available pretty much everywhere. And it's just this simple little mushroom. So, especially in terms of hormone related cancers, that actually prevents the creation of some of the estrogen, especially in terms of breast cancer.
I didn't realize. I mean, I realized
Yeah.
but that these are actually inhibit aromatase because
Yeah.
the pharmacological drugs we give so many postmenopausal women, there may be some out there using
Yeah.
letrozole,
Okay.
anastrozole, and aromasin or exemestane are medications that shut down the conversion of male hormones, estrogens, in the adipose tissue or fat
Okay.
converted to estrogen, which
Yeah.
can activate breast cancer cells and stimulate breast tissue.
Yeah.
Inhibiting that
Yeah.
aromatase is what those drugs do. It's nice to know that there are natural
Yeah.
mushrooms that do that.
It's amazing. So food is medicine in certain ways, absolutely. And the cool thing about it is why not try? It's $2 for 8 ounces of mushrooms. So this recipe actually calls for 10 ounces of mushrooms, but look, they sell mushrooms in 8 ounce packages these days. So all I did was buy one package. It was on sale for $2. You really can't beat that. And especially not because, do you want to guess how many mushrooms you need to eat a
Two.
day?
I wouldn't have a clue.
5.
That's all?
They've been finding that aromatase inhibition activity with as little as 5 white button mushrooms a day. So why not try it? You never know what might happen. So,
Yeah.
all right, we're looking good over here. So we're starting to get a little more translucent with our onion. The nice part about this recipe is I think you kind of can't mess it up. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in our mushrooms. They're made up primarily of water. So what's going to start to happen now is our mushrooms are going to start to release water, which is also going to help our onions and garlic finish cooking too. So I'm gonna take this out for a second, let you dump that in there and keep stirring. And then I'm going to drain the water off of our walnuts that have soaked for about 20 minutes at this point.
So is this one package of standard mushrooms you'd buy at the grocery store?
That's it. That's all it was. Yep. Nice. Let our walnuts drain a little bit here. And this is a cup of walnuts that we're using. Now, I did see someone ask, they said they don't love the taste and smell of garlic. So,
Oh.
would garlic pills or garlic supplements be appropriate?
Well, that's sacrilegious. Anybody who doesn't, if you're from Italian heritage, olive oil and garlic are two staples in any household. So,
Are you Italian?
oh yeah.
I think I could tell, but figured I would ask. Yes, agreed. A bit sacrilege there. Um, No, all jokes aside, I think we'll talk a little bit more about supplements later, especially in relation to turmeric. Um, and there are some that have benefits to them. There's some that don't. You know, my problem with a lot of supplements is that they are not regulated by the FDA. So I actually encourage folks to use, if you're going to do, oh my gosh, look, now I got this thing all stuck. So if you're going to do them, then we want to look for either something called the USP verification, which stands for US Pharmacopoeia. That's a third party company that actually looks and analyzes the manufacturing practices and makes sure that everything is clean and that what is in that pill is supposed to be there, et cetera. So there's that. There's also Consumer Labs that runs third-party testing on their on brands. So just make sure that what you're buying is actually what's in it. There's no harmful chemicals like lead or mercury in the fish oil, because again, they're not regulated. So they can put whatever claims they want on there and they can put whatever they want. And it's a probably $1 trillion industry at this point, when we've got food. You've got other foods that can do those same things that the garlic can. So that is completely fine. If you don't love garlic, you don't need to force yourself to love garlic. We can find something else that will assist our liver with detoxification versus taking a pill. So garlic is wonderful, but look at me messing this up again. Okay, third time's a charm. Just needs a
I
little bit of
think
elbow grease.
one of the questions we get asked by a lot of patients when it comes to alternative supplements
Yeah,
is the lack of any FDA oversight.
yeah,
And if there is a product out there, for instance, a common example is black cohosh is a product
okay,
that's available in many different forms and concentrations that's been used in some cases to help with hot flashes in
okay,
postmenopausal women
yeah,
who are unable to use estrogen because of breast cancer. But the problem is there's no regulation of how much,
nope,
and that always makes it challenging and for
right,
somebody to find a product that's going to provide reliable benefits.
right. And, so what we're also referring to is it could say there's 50 milligrams of black cohosh in this. And then when it's actually analyzed by one of these third parties, they find no, there's only 20 milligrams. So are you paying a certain amount of money for this product that's not even giving you the quantity or the dosing that you think it is? So you really just have to do your research. So there are times and places for supplements. I'm not going to say that there's not by any means, but we just want you to be careful and not cause any more harm or spend any more money if it's not going to actually work. So that was a very good question. All right, I'm adding in yep, there we go. Dr. Corso is going to scoop the sides for me. I'm adding in the walnuts. And I personally feel like if you let your walnuts soak a little bit longer, I think that's okay. Again, what we're creating is a ground beef-like texture. That's what we're going for here.
Do you have any idea in the what do they call it, the Impossible Burger? It's actually not. Is it a lot of the same ingredients that they use for that? Do you have any idea?
I wish it was, but no, I believe the Impossible Burgers and the Beyond Burgers are mostly soy based, and they are soy is probably a different conversation for another day, but true whole real soy foods, there's only four of them. There's soy milk, there's edamame, there's tofu, and there's tempeh. Those foods have been shown to decrease breast cancer. Even in hormone sensitive breast cancers, they have phytoestrogens. Yes, there's an estrogen mimicking compound in soy, but it binds to a different cell receptor on the breast tissue. So that is different than this processed, potentially genetically modified soy that has been, added lots of sodium to it. And I think that's a really important point I want to make as well, just that we need to treat our whole bodies. And when you're undergoing treatment too, your whole body is getting affected by it. So if we can do something that is also good for our hearts, good for our blood pressure, good for our blood sugars, that's a win-win-win. So a lot of these Impossible Burgers, the Beyond Beef burgers, still have a lot of saturated fat, which increases our insulin resistance and leads to type 2 diabetes and heart disease, atherosclerosis, plaque buildup there. So walnuts are one of the most vasodilating nuts. They can kind of counteract that saturated fat better than any other nut. So we're using walnuts here, and then walnuts are also great for, let me check my notes. They have ellagic acid, which is a phytochemical. They also have gamma tocopherol, which is a really fancy form of vitamin E, a really fancy word for saying vitamin E. Vitamin E is one of the best antioxidants in terms of vitamins, or one of our only vitamins that's an antioxidant, I should say. Excuse me. So, antioxidants, can you walk us through the beginning phase of cancer? Like, what is happening there to actually start the progression of cancer?
I wish there was a one simple answer. There isn't, because cancers are very different based on the tissues they arise from. But
Yeah.
essentially, probably at the core is an underlying genetic mutation that occurs in a cell, whether it's in the milk duct cell or in a cell in the colon. That mutation is going to lead to perhaps a different programming of how the cell is going to behave. And if you add enough other elements, it's ultimately going to become what we would consider cancer. But
Yeah.
it's a lot of steps over many years, honestly, for most cells to eventually become cancerous. And again, it's, I'm sure, related to not just genetics, but some cancers like prostate and breast cancer hormones. Viruses, certain viruses can predispose to cancers like HPV for cervical and oral cancers. And then ultimately, gosh, the array of, and you probably know this far better than I do, is the potential for various micro particles in food, whether it's toxins that can then interact with the cellular level and hardwire a cell to become very different. And that's ultimately cancer. But I always tell folks, it's like making this taco mixture or chocolate chip cookies. Just throwing chocolate chips in a bowl doesn't give you cookie dough batter. And it's not just a woman taking hormones for 20 years that caused her to have breast cancer. That was about as much as the garlic in this. It's just a small ingredient amongst many others.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So the great thing about antioxidants is that what they're doing, or one of the effects they can potentially have, as well as these phytonutrients. And again, phyto meaning plant, Phytochemicals might be another word that you hear. So these aren't vitamins, they're not minerals, but they have effects on our body systems. So that's what I mean when I'm saying phytochemicals. Vitamins and minerals, we have to have a certain level of them for all of our body processes to function. So I think what we're learning more about maybe is that these phytonutrients are actually crucial to our chronic disease in general. So they're anti-inflammatory, they're antioxidants, and those can potentially prevent the DNA mutations from occurring or the damage from occurring to begin with. So we've already got 4 different plant foods in here, and I think we're probably about ready to start adding some spices.
All right.
So let's see here. All right. We've got 2 teaspoons of oregano and a tablespoon of cumin here. We've got a tablespoon of chili powder. And then one of the things that, I'm going to get a little spoon here. The recipe did not call for, but I am adding because we're really not going to be able to taste it, but it is an excellent it's related to pretty much every step of how cancer mutates DNA to begin with, to how the cancer cells grow, to how fast we can heal, is turmeric. So I'm going to add that to this. And again, it's a beautiful bright yellow color. But what I'm also going to add with it are some cracks of black pepper here, because for whatever reason, the black pepper compounds actually help our bodies absorb turmeric by 2,000%.
Huh.
So that is a good reason to just go ahead and combine them. Chances are in most foods, you'll probably combine them anyway. This is tomato paste in a tube. I heard that it's less metallic tasting. Maybe you as an Italian can shed some light on that for me. I've never bought tomato paste in a tube.
We do. It's actually easier to utilize, and oftentimes you only need a tablespoon if you're making something, and opening a can, most of it goes to waste. So this is great.
So we just need about a half a tablespoon. If we have a little bit more, it's okay. If we have a little bit less, it's okay. And then if you want to throw in a tablespoon of soy sauce,
Sure.
So that soy sauce is going to add more of that savory flavor, that kind of meat-like flavor there. And then, have you ever used liquid smoke, or do you like liquid smoke?
I do, but most of the time I get my smoke naturally cooking it outdoors.
Fair enough. Yes. So we're going to add a half of a teaspoon, I think it was. Let me double check that. Yes. A half of a teaspoon of liquid smoke. If you have the kind with the little shaker, just a couple, maybe 5 drops or so. And we're going to mix all of this up, maybe add a little bit of water here just to kind of get that tomato paste going. And if we need more water, we can. So, oh yeah, and 1/4 of a cup of water. So the whole thing. We have special guests.
Well, howdy. Welcome.
So I hope it smells as good as it smells right here.
Thanks, Wes.
So we just finished adding all of our spices, and we're gonna cook the mixture until about, I don't know, the mushrooms are softened, which they kind of already are. So at this point, we're really just letting the flavors meld together, I would say, letting that water kind of evaporate. I personally don't like this too liquidy, because then when you add salsa and you add all those other things to your tortilla, then all the liquid kind of runs out. So I actually prefer to almost brown my mushrooms, really let all the water evaporate before I serve it.
I agree.
And one of the things I think we don't think about or do enough is taste as we go. So one of the things we'll do here in a second is also just give it a try, give it a taste, see if it needs anything. If it needs a little something, we can always add more. But remember, this is also going on a taco. And we're about to switch gears here for a second. And I'm going to clean up our station a little bit. And then we're going to make a taco slaw to go on top. So The only sodium in this whole recipe was a tablespoon of soy sauce. So that's very reasonable, especially for watching our blood pressure, which I'm curious, Dr. Corso, about the cardio-oncology effects. So, especially when you're talking about treating breast cancer, there has to be some type of effects on the heart being so close, I would guess.
In terms of toxicities of our therapy on the heart.
Yeah, or just any effects really. Maybe the way the blood vessels are able to dilate, or effects on blood pressure. I don't know, anything you want to share with us?
Um, I mean, in general, if we talk about breast cancer, we're generally talking about more commonly postmenopausal women, and that's where you're going to see
Mm,
other illnesses like
yeah.
blood pressure and diabetes and heart
Yeah.
disease. So I don't know that there's a relationship at all between breast cancer. Some of our interventions and treatments certainly can affect the heart adversely. So we have to be very mindful about um, when we're giving folks treatments to avoid damaging heart function. But in general, we don't have a lot of problems with the common therapies we use.
That's good.
Most of them are quite safe.
Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to bring this over here and start setting up. If anyone has any questions, I will swing back there once I've switched us out here. Got our big old spice cabinet there. And
When do you want to
excellent.
taste this?
Probably now. It looks good. Look how beautiful it is. Maybe we can
Want me to turn the heat down or off?
yeah, you can turn it, yeah, or you can even use it leave it low, because we will actually switch that out and cook our tortillas on there too.
All right.
So going
Do we
to,
have any spoons?
yes, behind you over here
I got
is,
plastic
or
ones.
yep, found some there too. Great. All right.
Well, I have a special taster in the room. I'm going to
Yeah.
have her tell me what she thinks.
Uh-oh. The pressure's on. Okay. All right, here's some spoons. I might give it a whirl here. See what we need.
The special tester says it's delicious.
Good. What do you taste the most in it, do you think? Yeah, cumin. Yep. So we put chili powder and cumin in there. Oh, oh, nice. It's got a little bit of heat, probably from the chili powder, which I'll just take a second to note. Chili powder is a blend of spices. Actually, most people don't realize that. So one thing you might want to do is check that back label for the sodium content too, especially if you're trying to manage your blood pressure, and watch that. Some spice blends, it will blow your mind how much more sodium one has over the other. So again, we're mixing all these other flavors together, so we don't need a ton of sodium, which is why one of my favorite tricks I learned from the American Heart Association was to use soy sauce, because you're getting all these other flavors from it as well as sodium, and it can really create that nice savory flavor, which the mushrooms do too. So I'm talking too much and
No.
not
I was going to comment. We learned this a while back, changing marinade ingredient from soy sauce to something else. That the food was less flavorful. Actually, you didn't appreciate the salt as much. A lot of times when you're cooking something, you've got layers. You may have, like I make a Caesar salad dressing, and there's at least
Okay.
3 ingredients that are adding salt, from the anchovies to the
Okay.
Parmesan cheese to the regular table salt. So if you skip out on soy, you may be losing your real good source of sodium, which is not necessarily going to turn out to be a good flavor.
Yeah, that's true. So here's the thing. A recipe is a suggestion, and the only way you know is by trying it. So we're going to try another one here. And I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't sure how this one was going to go, but we tested it, and we had multiple taste testers here that day, and I loved it. It came together so quick and easy. So what we're going to do is using my first tip. Go ahead and tell everyone what you did and why.
Oh, I just wanted to smell, check out the cilantro.
Yeah, because if you can't smell it, you can't taste it. And if you can't smell it or taste it, then it's lost a lot of those phytonutrients, that these oils that make it good for us to begin with. So I walk around the grocery store and I pinch it and I smell it. And if I can't smell it, I don't buy that one, because just buy dried or buy something else that
So
day.
don't go shopping when you've got a bad head cold and you can't smell
Correct.
anything.
Yeah. Or COVID. COVID times were hard when you lost that sense of smell for a while. All right, so now we're gonna make the dressing first here. We're gonna whisk everything into this big bowl
Okay.
and then add our other ingredients. So would you rather be the chopper or the dressing preparer?
You choose your show.
What a great guest. You can go ahead and make the dressing. So let me give you here's the recipe here. And while you start to do that, I'm going to check on our questions back there.
Okay.
So we've got 1/4 of a cup of plain non-fat Greek yogurt we're using there. 1/2 of a lime we're going to squeeze into here, the honey, and then just a little bit of, you can do the spices, the salt, the pepper,
You want the dressing in here?
Yep. So we're going to try to use just one bowl, and that way we're not dirtying everything up. Let's see. All right. Nope, we're good. We're making it look so easy that no one has any questions. All right, great.
If you have leftover limes, you can make something like an adult beverage later.
Yes, I know something that goes good with tacos.
Cerveza.
I was going to say margarita, but.
Oh, my wife would prefer the margarita.
And really, nothing beats, the fresh limes do make a big difference. This looks so beautiful. I can't wait to show everyone this. I might need to go get a little hot pad. And then I'm going to turn this one off. And then I'm going to set another pan on here that we are going to warm up to cook our tortillas with. Where I do that. That one is 1/2, and the one,
1/4.
correct. Yeah. So 1/4 cup of plain Greek yogurt. I love doing this because it tastes exactly like sour cream, but it's got all those live and active cultures. It's got way more protein. So in this, it's going to give that nice cooling effect to our slightly spicy taco, which you don't have to make it spicy if you don't like spicy, or that's not agreeing with you, or you have acid reflux or anything like that. So just, again, keep this in mind. We're giving you an idea, and you can make it your own to match your family's needs. So, all right, great.
And is this about a 1/2 tablespoon?
Yeah, I just dumped. So here's the secret. I forgot honey the day I tested it. So I went downstairs and found those perfect little honey packets. And one little honey packet was all we needed, because everyone knows the most annoying thing about measuring honey is getting it out of the tablespoon. But there's a trick for that, and it works really well. You spray your tablespoon with cooking spray, and it will slide right out.
Huh.
So, but those were just too perfect. I couldn't help it. So that's what we're going to use there. All right, so I got this on low to medium. Yeah, probably do this. Great. So that was about, I think, was it 1/2 tablespoon for that?
Of the honey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
And 1/4 cup of chopped cilantro.
Yeah, so we'll get on the cilantro now. I'm actually going to just go ahead and use our cutting board. All we cut on this was plants. So maybe we can share some cutting space here. There we go. I'll move this around. Kitchen safety. And borrow this knife here. So I've got a green onion that I am just cutting up into little bits. And then you can, of course, use, this was supposed to be our scrap bucket for
good.
But yeah,
that was something special.
Nope. I try to remember to do that because I feel like even if the trash can's right below me, it's a lot easier just to toss it into a bucket.
You'll probably miss half the time you try to put it in the can.
That's very true. All right.
So you familiar with why there's a certain percentage of people who don't like cilantro, can't eat it?
Yes, it is a genetic, is it an enzyme?
Yeah.
an enzyme that some people have and some people don't. So if you're one of those folks that thinks it tastes like soap, we believe you because there's an
genetic
enzyme.
reason for it. Yeah.
I just have to say that I do not have that, and I love cilantro.
Yeah, I'm with
So
you there. There's also a gene that if you eat asparagus and your urine stinks, you've got the enzyme. If you don't smell it,
yep.
so there are genetic reasons for a lot of these.
Then you want to crack some black pepper in here, and I thought I had our salt out, but I might have put it away. There we go. And then we'll do maybe 10 cracks of salt after that and whisk up. So we've got our dressing in our bowl right now, black pepper, a fourth of a teaspoon of cumin, half a tablespoon of honey, lime juice, and our, what was the other thing? Yogurt. Yogurt right in front of me. All right. And if you want to whisk that up,
yes,
then we'll add our cilantro and our other greens here. So one of the cool things about cilantro is it is a leafy green, and I think we don't often consider our herbs in that way because we don't eat them in quantities the same way we would eat, say, kale or cabbage in this instance. But cilantro is actually on the top 10 list of nitric oxide producers, and nitric oxide is a vasodilator. So it helps with blood flow from the top of our head to the bottom of our feet. So it's great for those with COPD, those with neuropathy from diabetes, those with heart disease, of course, those with dementia, Alzheimer's, or preventing those things because we're getting more blood flow up there. So I'm going to put some.
Chop up the cilantro.
Yeah, here you go. I'm going to let you have mine.
Okay.
My little one right there. And then, oh yeah. Well, then we'll add probably do, well, maybe either a quarter or a half. Are you feeling, what does our guest think? Does she like spice?
Yes, I think if we leave the seeds off, we're good with the
great
jalapeno.
I do want to mention to everyone that there's a typo I realized in the recipe from being at the store today. So the original recipe called for 6 cups of shredded cabbage, and it said a 14 to 16 ounce bag. Well, when I got to the grocery store and picked up a 14-ounce bag of coleslaw mix, I quickly realized that's about 3 cups, which is what we need. So I have the recipe. If you want to double it, it doubles very easily. It doubles well if you're bringing it to a cookout or having taco night for lots of folks. But that's going to make a lot. So I just want you to know that the recipe will need to be edited to say 1 bag of 14 to 16 ounce coleslaw. And I chose this one because it's got the different colors. So we've got green cabbage, purple cabbage, and carrots. So already 3 different colors of the rainbow right there. And that means that those different colors are actually targeting different parts of our body, which is pretty amazing. Orange foods have been shown to hyper-target, especially in women, cervical tissue, ovarian tissue. So our turmeric is also great for that as well. We're finding reductions in breast and prostate cancer with enough fiber, with enough phytonutrients. So, all right, I'm going to show everybody what this looks like. And then if you want to cut our jalapeno for us, and then we'll add in all of these things here shortly. Even that smells good. I smelled the cilantro. All right, so we are de-seeding and deveining that jalapeno, which does remove a good bit of the spice level. But again, you can totally leave this out if you would like. Jalapenos are also a great source of vitamin C, which is also one of our antioxidant vitamins. Oh, this is a good tip. Someone said that they run their spoon under hot water and the honey will pour right out.
That's a good tip.
It's a great tip. I've never tried that one. Thank you for sharing that.
I found if you're using honey in a recipe and you're using, again, olive oil or something else, if you put the olive oil in the spoon first, it acts as the same as the spray.
Yeah.
It doesn't stick to the
yes.
spoon.
It really does make it so much easier. So peanut butter, same kind of thing. If you spray before peanut butter, comes out a little bit easier as well. All right, these are all great tips. All right, we've got 15 minutes left, so I might start to put some tortillas on here. Oh my gosh, that just the dressing of that smells so good. So what I wanted to show you are these tortillas. They come at a big box store that I'm not going to name, but you can probably take a guess. And so you're going to get a lot of them. They're refrigerated. And the reason I choose these is because they are made up of 4 ingredients: wheat flour, water, canola oil, salt, and sugar. I counted wrong. 5. So 5 ingredients. Next time you are at the store, take a look at your flour tortilla ingredient list, and it might floor you. It floors me. And so there is a slightly extra step to these, but I think it's so worth it because all we're going to do is heat them up.
I'm only putting a half a jalapeno in
I
there.
think that's more than enough. That looks great.
We'll go ahead and dump it in.
Go ahead and dump it in, and then you can dump our coleslaw in there as well. So I'm just unpeeling these from one another. Over here. Go. You could also use corn, of course. Even the corn tortillas, sometimes there's an awful lot of ingredients in there, a lot of stabilizers, a lot of preservatives. And that especially is important when it comes to our GI health. So we're linking inflammatory responses to some of the preservatives and things like that that are put in our food. But what our colon cells love to have is the support of good gut bacteria. And the good gut bacteria love to eat fiber, which our meal is about to be full of, as well as one of the other compounds that they're able to convert is polyphenols, these antioxidants that we've been talking about. So, or one type of antioxidant that we've been talking about. So these are going to take, I don't know, I'll see how long this takes, but they're going to brown up and I'll show you all what they look like. I'm going to clean up our station a little bit here while we wait for that to cook and see if this is hot enough. Yeah, it should be good. All right.
I think this is thoroughly mixed.
All right. Would you like to try it?
Sure.
Great. We made it not too long ago, so.
Cilantro comes along. Nice.
Yeah. And it
Delicious.
really balances that cool Greek yogurt. And you got a little bit of the lime. You got the sweetness from the honey. Would you like
Delicious.
a taste test? And this is really easy. I mean, we used one bowl. We used a whisk. It was all pretty cheap, available ingredients, which is great. So now we are glad to accept any other questions that you all have. We are going to cook up these tortillas and show you a finished product here when we're done. What I might do is, if you don't mind, I'm going to zoom in and we'll show everyone what this walnut mushroom mixture looks like.
Sure.
Right here. And
this is a perfect meal. A lot of folks ask about, is there a specific diet that's helpful for breast cancer survivors in terms of helping stay cancer free? And there's actually one large trial done quite a few years ago that randomized several thousand women to low fat diet versus, eat what you want. And there was a 25% lower risk of women relapsing with their breast cancer when they were successful with low fat diet. And it was with weight loss sort of designed to exercise. So a healthy lifestyle.
Right.
So, you don't have to go on a special crazy diet. You really want to change your lifestyle and healthy. And this certainly would fall into that category. Would be a perfect part of a meal plan and trying to help stay cancer free.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go zoom in here real quick. And yeah, I think that's a really important point, is that we have to remember that stress reduction and socialization, and these are all other important parts there. Oh, you can actually see our slaw next to it there too. So that's what it looks like. And I mean, from this angle, it looks like ground beef to me. Great. So the last thing we'll do is just kind of wait on these tortillas over here. And I also like making them, it's really easy to make with masa flour too. I might have been doing the wrong ones. Did I do the wrong ones?
Yeah, you were headed over here when it's just in there.
Yeah,
That's
sometimes
all right.
I
We'll
do
help.
both of them just because it hangs over top of there.
Oh, I didn't see that one on.
Yeah, I know. So sometimes I get impatient and then I burn them. You see. Nope.
You
Okay.
can't get impatient in the kitchen.
Oh, I know. You're right.
Once you've got
So
4 and a 5-year-old who are yelling at you,
yeah.
then I get it.
In my house, it's a 1 and a 4-year-old, but exactly. Speaking of which, so this is a great recipe to introduce nuts to your children if you haven't. The only thing about it is that it is, this one was a little spicy, so I actually got a chili powder that I had never tried before. So obviously test your chili powders before you go putting it on your children's food there. But I also like this version of coleslaw. I mean, I guess it's coleslaw, you know. So, like you said, we use non-fat Greek yogurt, so there's no fat in there. The only fat we're really getting is from the walnuts, which is natural. They're omega-3 fatty acids, very anti-inflammatory, great for our brain, great for our heart. And the interesting thing about a lot of these phytonutrients, we keep talking about turmeric in particular, or the ones that are in turmeric, are fat soluble. So we don't want totally no fat, but we do want to have a little bit of the natural fat to help the absorption of these much better. So, and this is not something you probably really need to think too hard about. I'm sharing it with you, but in this meal, it's just all together there. There's might be even a little bit, yeah, there's 4 grams of fat in one tortilla. So we've got a little bit of fat from our tortilla. We've got some from our walnuts, and that's all it needs. Doesn't need much. We could add avocado to this as well, or guacamole, and now we would have that natural fat there as well. So that would be, this is a really all-star meal in terms of a variety of foods. So I think I said this at the beginning, but there are 17 different plant foods in this recipe that includes different spices and herbs. So our cilantro and our green onion is kind of used like an herb here too. Our green onion also counts differently from our yellow onion. So the purple cabbage counts differently from our green cabbage, again, because those different colors are targeting different parts of our body. And so the goal is actually 30 different plant foods per week. And we just got 17 in one meal. So we should be able to do that. This also includes tea, not necessarily sweet tea, but black tea, um, hibiscus tea, green tea, white tea, all those would count. So there we go. I was going to say, there we go. Now we're okay. We cranked it up.
Yeah.
So it'll actually start to bubble. And sometimes you kind of have to push the bubbles down because the whole thing will start to do that. And then it'll brown a little bit. So I usually like my bubbles to be a little bit brown, and then
So
it's
these
good
are
to go.
actually uncooked tortillas.
They're uncooked tortillas. And when your pan is hot and it's right, it doesn't take that long. But when it's not, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. So, okay. Well, how does someone utilize your services? Where do they find you if they need you?
For the most part, folks are referred to Gibbs after they find themselves mammogram shows
Yeah.
new abnormality. And every woman who's doing screening for breast cancer is always hoping that her mammogram this year will be unremarkable. But if there is an abnormality, the reason we do mammograms is to catch cancers early, and the vast majority of women will survive their cancers. So it's important to get your screening.
Yes.
It makes a big difference.
Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up. So get your screenings. We're happy to help you do that should you need. And that tortilla is looking great. Oh, there comes these big bubbles. Let me go check one more time to see if anyone has any questions. And then, of course, if you're not chatting so much, you could get this meal done in a pretty pretty quick amount of time, but we think. Make sure I shared everything I wanted to. I mean, look, there's a cancer superfoods checklist that I was kind of basing this off of. So on that is mushrooms, garlic, berries, turmeric, which is why I added the turmeric here. One thing I did want to mention about the turmeric is that they've discovered that the curcumin, so that is the one of these phytonutrients in turmeric. Turmeric itself is a root. It looks like ginger, except for it's wider and it's oranger than ginger. So it's a real whole food to begin with. And back to our supplement discussion, when you start to just extract the turmeric, or I'm sorry, the curcumin out of the turmeric, you're losing a bunch of other nutrients that are in the turmeric as well. So if you're going to choose a supplement, you might want to do one that is turmeric, not just curcumin, and one with that black pepper extract as well. So anti-proliferative, did I say that correctly?
Good big word.
Okay.
Good.
I did it. So it's preventing the cells from dividing and multiplying. Did I get that right?
You got it.
Okay. Antioxidant. So we've been talking about those anti-inflammatory. When something gets oxidized, sometimes it creates that genetic mutation or the DNA damage that then the cell can continue to, proliferate in the wrong way, or it can continue to grow in the wrong way. And then carcinogen blocking. And so we talked a little bit about this, but there's just a lot of day-to-day cancer causing substances that we come into touch with, and there's nothing we can do about it. We don't need to necessarily worry about it. It might be walking by a truck and inhaling the smoke from that. It might be brushing by something and getting a chemical on you from cleaning or something like that. So here at our disposal, we have all of these different foods that we can be eating that will bind to these carcinogenic compounds, these cancer causing substances, and prevent them from being absorbed into our bloodstream. So it can stay in the digestive tract and be excreted in either our feces or stool. And that's what we want to happen. That's a natural process that we want to happen. And so the curcumin turmeric is a little special because it can do all three of those things. So there's not a ton of foods that we can say that do that. But again, let's remember the turmeric as a whole versus that isolated curcumin is really what we're looking for. So we added it right here. One great way to add it. You're never going to notice it's there. And with that being said,
Time to eat.
let's build a taco.
All right. Here's a couple of shells.
All right. Here we go. All right. Yum. Okay, so I'm going to do our walnut meat on the bottom. Actually did have a couple of, oops, where did I put that? You know what? I'll just use this. Got our slaw on the top here.
Here, you can use that plate. I'll grab it.
Here we go. All right. There's one. Perfect. And I will go ahead and load you up, or you can go ahead and load yourself up, and then we'll show everyone what we're working with here and dig in. Hopefully, this is not the best pan for this, is it?
Yeah, they're coming along. Just,
Okay.
you have to be patient, Carrie.
Dr. Corso, I think you've already learned it's not my strong suit, which is not good when it comes to cooking. Oh, there, that was looking great. Looking great. All right, ready? I'm gonna zoom in here. Everyone can see our plates. Oh, you wanna dine first?
Let's,
It is 6:30, huh?
yeah.
All right, let's go for it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh my gosh.
That's good.
This is even better than when I tested it because we didn't have the walnut meat. We were just testing the slaw to make sure the slaw was good. But it really goes perfectly together. It really does. All right. Oh man. Nice black pepper kick there.
I'm making one for our special guest.
All right, good. So there we are. And it doesn't look like we have any other questions. So we sure appreciate everyone taking the time to join us. We have another Colorful Cooking at Home coming up on Friday, June 13th. So please consider joining us for that. It will be stuffed peppers with guacamole. So you could then potentially learn guacamole and add that to your dish as well. Yep, we've got extra limes, we've got extra cilantro. So go ahead and add anything else. Again, you could even do more of your plain Greek yogurt like sour cream. And you could have your beans and your brown rice with it and really maybe even get to 30 plant foods in this one dish as it is. So thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.
Thanks, Carrie.
Give everyone a wave. No, thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Happy eating.